Alright, we're back again. It's a few days later. I had to do some recovering before I could get back after this, and then the weather didn't cooperate too much either, but got a decent day, so we're going to get this bunny back in here and hopefully get everything started. I still got to go get some shrinkers and go buy some new clips and, some little punch list stuff like that. But other than that, I believe it's ready to go in. And that's my project for today. So let's do this. I'll keep the GoPro going, of course. I think I've got it at a little better of an angle to see what I'm doing there. I might need to lift it up a little more. Not sure, but I want you to be able to see how I turned it to get it out of there and everything. So, without further ado, let's do it. Work with music really low because YouTube don't like it if you accidentally record somebody's stuff. The funny thing about it is if you're talking during it, it somehow magically becomes not copyrighted anymore. But if you're not talking, it's copyrighted. So I'm just doing this to protect some lines while I'm getting it in there. I didn't cover this one when I took it out. Now, it sits in there like this, and the way I took it out from in there was I turned it this way, and then I kind of wiggled it between those two lines and got it out. So that's the way I'm going to try to go back in with it. You know what? I think me trying to protect these here is actually hindering my progress. Go for it again here. Well, I think I went past that fuel line first. If I remember right. There we go. And she is back in where she goes. Got no damage on my lines. All right. Now I'm debating, just because of how big a pain in the ass that bottom bolt is, I'm really debating just going ahead and pulling that fan out of there. I'm not sure about that yet. But she's going to go back in here. Just like that. So, let's get a couple of hangers on her and now when you go putting these back in, if you put anti-seize like I do, make sure that you use the wet torque spec. Besides, the lubrication of the anti-seize makes it a little easier to get them in there. See, isn't she already pretty? Now you notice that I'm doing this backwards from the way I took them off of there. That's because when you're removing, you always want to remove whatever bottom bolt you have in first. It's going to make your job a major pain in the ass if you don't. But going back on, we want the top ones on there so that it supports the weight and this thing's not loose and moving around everywhere while we're trying to get that pain in the ass bottom bolt taken care of. Onward, I got it hung on there, so that's where she's going to be. Get my connections taken care of, all that. I still got to go get my clips. These are what I was breaking. All they do is screw in here. And then they have a clip on the top. You just put that back down on there. I need a couple of those. And I need to get some shrinkers for my cables. I'm also going to splice a new connector onto my alternator because the old one, the latch broke. But yeah, I mean, she went in there a whole lot easier than she came out, man. Well, I didn't have to move all this crap out of my way, but she's basically in there. I got to do the peripheral stuff. I decided I'm going to go ahead and keep this belt on here because it looks fine to me. I mean, I've got a brand new one if anything happens to it. This is, every mechanic knows, man, when you break out that anti-seize, it is going to get all over you. Now we got the pain in the butt bolt. Needs to go down in there. And I really don't think I've figured out any better way of doing it than the way I did it. And that was a pain in the ass. But let me get this anti-seize cleaned off of me before I go any further and it gets more and more on me. And find out why my GoPro just kicked off. See what's going on with that real quick. And then I will be back. But she's in there. Fuse box. Still in here. AC lines. Still in here. Fuel lines. Still connected. Which means I do not have to pull and recharge this AC system. I'll have to very gently get this back over where it belongs. I needed that 3 inches I was talking about down here too. So we got to get that pain in the ass bottom bolt in. And man, let me tell you, that thing, I lost some skin getting that thing out of there, so I'd really have to worm my hand in there. I think I might have to get a little bit taller though. This fan is not a cooperating element in this endeavor, let me tell you. And this is another thing that mechanics learn pretty quick. A whole lot of what you're going to be doing is going to be done by feel. And I don't believe it, but I got that critter in there the first shot. My day's looking up already. Yeah, she's in there. Alrighty then. Yeah, she already took a couple of chunks of skin out of me this morning. I'm sorry I'm doing this in stages. I have to stop and go. Being bent over like this in this truck, it's really hard on my back. And I've got to stop periodically. Or at least change positions. Come on, be nice to me. Come on, be nice. Hey. That is in a tough spot, that bolt. I can tell you, it's not tight enough yet for me to ratchet on its own. And it's too tight for me to do with my finger, of course. I can only move this thing like 1/4 of an inch each freaking turn because I gotta have my own damn hand in the way. Oh, for fuck's sake. Excuse my language. It's always a way. Alright, I'll put a torque on you later. Woo! That was the toughest part of the whole thing, was that bottom bolt. she's secure. Still got to torque it, but we'll do that later. Okay, we got that part taken care of. She's tightened up. Now I got some peripheral thing to do. Get the belt back on, hook her up, and get everything put back where it's supposed to be and crank her up. So first off, I got to go get me some more coffee. So I'll be back. Let's see if I remember right. This was a 13 millimeter. So I did a couple of things without recording. The electrical connection stuff. My air compressor was running. Now, what I got to do is, it's in. Next step, we'll put the belt on. Alright, get in there where you're supposed to be. You just gotta be a pain in the ass, don't you? But such is the life of a mechanic. We are born with every one of Murphy's laws tattooed on our ass cheeks. That's the life of a mechanic right there. Because anything that can go wrong will absolutely go wrong. Alright, come on. Cooperate with me this time. We'll get along just fine. There we go. Belt's hooked back up. Everything's hooked back up. Basically, all I have left to do is get this wiring harness back in place, put the fan shroud on, get the new battery cables on, and we'll be starting her up. Okay, I got everything together. I kept having to use my air, so the compressor was running. I didn't try to record during it. You saw basically I just did everything in reverse. Now it's time. Right now I'm reading 12.2 volts, that's a crappy battery I've been using just to get this going. Now let's crank her up. I haven't got the fan shroud back on yet. Let's fire this girl up. Well, she started right up. Jumped up to 15.1 volts. She's charging, maintaining charge. Looks like I still know what I'm doing anyways. Just takes me 3 times as long to do it. Alright, I still got to put the fan shroud back on. That's really no big deal. It slips right down in there. Yeah, now that battery's getting fully charged, it's starting to level out more. I think if we let her run, it'll eventually end up at 13 something volts. This alternator is 5 amps higher than the one I had in here. Well, she's just purring right along, isn't she? Well, alright, I got to get this thing done. I've spent enough time on this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off and get this fan shroud back in and call it a day. But I did get that thing out of there and back in there without having to remove all this other stuff. Now keep in mind, this is my personal vehicle. I can do that kind of stuff. Yeah, she sounds good.